If you try to hold a handful of sand firmly in your hands, it will end up slipping away from your grip. Thus said Akshay Khanna said in Farhan Akhtar's Dil Chahta Hai back in 2001. Dil Chahta Hai, a landmark film that marked the change in course of Bollywood mainstreams, from loud potboilers to more subtle, minimalistic affairs, from larger-than-life hero worship to human stories closer home. Today, while Bollywood is at its all-time low in terms of collections, struggling to keep up the same minimalistic approach and bring footfalls back to the theatres, we are reminded of that quote from Sid. We are reminded of it as we watched Brahmastra on its first day of release, the film that is expected to be the savior of Hindi film industry. As in the film, like the keepers of the three pieces of the mighty weapon Brahmastra, the film itself lays its trust in three not-so-unique ideas. Number 1, the use of premise of Indian mythology and larger-than-life spectacle as in South Indian films, particularly organic to Telugu industry. Number 2, the use of surprises including superstar cameos to generate tension and anticipation for the regular Bollywood followers. And number 3, the use of subtext of love, the most bankable motif of Hindi cinema that incidentally converges from real to real while the making of the film. But then as these ambitious ideas are made to latch to each other, they slip away much like the sand moving out of a tight grip. And yet Brahmastra is to be remembered as a memorable attempt in this course of the Hindi movie industry. Why does it slip away and why to remember it all? Let's find out in this analysis of Brahmastra. Let us talk about the three ideas and their executions to find out where the connections break. The Telugu industry and its efficient presentation of mythological blockbusters did not arise from the vacuum. The themes, the motives, the spectacles come organically to the Telugu makers due to Telugu cinema's long legacy of mythological flair. If Sanskrit is known to be the language of gods, then Telugu is the language they speak on celluloid. Whereas the Hindi film industry has really invested in mythology, and whenever they tried it, have mostly landed up with surface level writings as in Brahmastra. Shiva, Parvati, Nandi or Hanuman are more passing comments in the film than actual references to our mythologies, which hardly adds any layers to this first chapter of the enterprising trilogy. There's no harm in deriving from Marvel Universe or the Star Wars theme of father versus son saga, but also build up on your Mr. India or Swades references beyond wishful fancies. This necessary contextualization to our roots, myths and stories is perhaps the biggest drawback of this film, which obviously fetches the feeling of been there, seen that from the audience. You see, just signing a Telugu star doesn't bring in the Telugu flavor, which Bollywood needs to realize once and for all. The CGI and special effects on the other hand are stunning, up there with any other international project. Particularly the sequence of Nagarjuna in his Nandi avatar is outstanding, a treat to watch on the IMAX screen. If only this spectacle could be backed by a proper script and patient characterizations. If only the film would not keep on hitting us with its super amateurish and often cringy dialogues. If it was Ayan Mukherji's idea to present his mythical drama with a Gen X cool and casual flavor, that execution doesn't work that well. The dialogues never let you settle into the universe of Brahmastra. Your eyes experience brilliant visuals while your ears are left to endure some kind of badly dubbed Hindi show. Coming to the cameos, it's again a mixed bag here. Nagarjuna is effective as he brings his charm and appeal to an universe he fits in. But the highly anticipated cameo, as you must all know by now, doesn't work. Yeah, let's be blunt about that. Mr. Cameo, we love you a lot and can only request you to be part of such generous outings where you add up to the silver lining. Choose your dialogues, save your image, and we can only hope the second chapter of the franchise, if it happens, will resurrect you from your present misdoings. We also hope the second chapter gives some clue to what Dimple Kapadia was doing in this film, as this one hardly cared for her credentials. Amitabh Bachchan's is not a cameo, but let's cover his Guruji as we speak about the supporting cast. Well, it's the same kind of performance in a typical know-all character. The learned old man, loaded with Gyanastra if we may say, as his Gyan from film to film stretches from boring to burning now. To our biggest surprise, Moni Roy's Junoon actually works fine, does pretty well in her repetitive scope and comes across as the best performer of the lot. Who could have imagined that? And now that you think about it, you wonder whether you're talking for the film or against it. The cameos which would have really worked for the film, establishing the potential of the chapter 2 never come. Dev, The Darth Vader kind of figure in the chronicle, Amrita, the one who had defeated him in the past, is that one subplot that generates interest about this Astroverse epic. The makers tease you with their visuals across the film, but never give you enough to go back home in anticipation of what's coming next. If only a sequence like Bahubali 1's ending note could have been pulled off, based on the Dev-Amrita duel, Brahmastra would have left us with a far better aftertaste. But the film lets go of that golden opportunity. And that brings us to the final idea. The power of love or the power of the star pair, the two leads. It seems it's here where all the other ideas originated from, as Ayan Mukherji was initially interested in building his world upon Rumi's philosophy of the power of love. Ranbir Kapoor, his leading man, has anyway given his career best performance in Rockstar, another movie which was actually inspired by philosophies of the Persian mystic. But then the man is a master of internalized performances, built upon emotional intricacies and strong characterizations, both of which are lacking in Brahma's script. Though his Shiva also follows his regular real course of finding out his goal in life, it doesn't quite bring out that transformation in the character's confidence of body language as you would wish in the origin story of a hero's rising. Shiva toggles between his antics to express his love for Isha and his pursuit to know himself better. But the team needed to understand that the magic of Rumi's philosophies is different from the magic you learn at the Hogwarts School of Wizardry. And again, in a clear example of trying to hold on to both the worlds together without enough grip from the script, Ranbir's characterization suffers and never goes beyond a lesser version of great stories we have already witnessed. Alia has very little to do in the film other than questioning Ranbir who he is from time to time. The actor, now known for her acting skills, was perhaps not the confident self as she is today when the film began, and is only left to be a typical Hindi film heroine in the script. But now the question remains, why do we consider Brahmastra to be a memorable attempt if there are so many problems to talk about? Well, it's because the makers are trying something out of their comfort zone with a lot of passion, determination and interest. If we talk about the legacy of Bollywood 15 years down the line, if we have some great spectacles from the industry by then, which match up both in visual and content to international standards, we will have to talk about Brahmastra. Acknowledge it as a junction point where the determination to be up there was evident. A genre masterpiece doesn't come in a day, doesn't work out just with a handful of attempts. But if you keep on aspiring for the heights, never losing control of your roots, the flight might finally take off. Brahmastra has a record opening after a very long time, and hopefully the momentum will continue and bring some relief to the industry. What it should also bring in is a hell lot of learnings that the makers and the industry need to carefully consider and build on. After all, once you have realized how the sand will slip away from your grip, the next time you measure the capacity of your clutches better before trying to hold on. We hope and we are looking forward to Brahmastra Chapter 2 as a potentially much better film. That is all from us today. Thank you for watching.